Hello and welcome to another video from Fantasy Football Scouts. Today I'm joined by Neale to look at the latest lineup and injury news from this week's press conferences. Neale, how are you?
I'm not too bad, Joe. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm keen to crack on though and discuss the latest team and injury news because the deadline isn't tomorrow morning at all. No, it's coming up in a few hours on this Friday evening. So yeah, let's crack on. And first port of call has to be Man City. There has been so much interest in their players, particularly their midfielders. Here's some stats just before we talk about what the latest developments from the press conference are. Sterling, 286,000 transfers in this week. Wow. Sané, 143,000 in, and David Silva, 95,000 transfers in. So there's a lot of people pinning their hopes on Man City starts. So what has Pep been saying? Any hints?
What you need coming into this week is some real cast iron guarantees that players are going to play. You need some definitive team news. And Guardiola chose this week to be possibly the most cagey he's ever been this season. Whether that's true or not, I don't know if he's just pussyfooting around. He says, when asked about his injury news, which will concern Gabriel Jesus, Bernardo Silva and Ilkay Gundogan, he said he doesn't know. They have training in 2-3 hours' time, and they're going to assess all those players and see how they are. So we're no further forward really to where we were.
Yellow flag remains on all of those then.
Yeah, definitely. He did go on to offer a quote on Jesus. I think one of the journalists had asked him whether he'd be confident of Aguero featuring, in Saturday, Wednesday games going forward if Jesus is unavailable. But Guardiola did say that he's much, much, much better, Gabriel Jesus, and he's going to play a lot of minutes over this period. So he doesn't sound like he's too far away.
No.
He might not be ready to start this weekend, but I would definitely expect to see an Aguero benching before we get to Gameweek 17 anyway.
Okay, yeah, it does sound like it would be strange for Jesus to start. We never know, trying to second guess bet, but given he's coming back from an injury, it sounds like his first start may be midweek, as you say, or game week 16 even. But also I think Aguero has to start this one at home as well. I mean, maybe Pep's looking at the same stats we're all looking at with Aguero home and away. It says, right, he's the man at home, but to be honest, we could do without him away. But you never know. But he was asked about a rotation in general, wasn't he, Guardiola? This was nice. Whichever journalist asked this, and he was saying, will you freshen the team up? And he said, maybe, yeah. Okay. And he said, because it was a really tough game, and after this game, we have another one in 3 days against Watford. That is the toughest period. Everyone deserves to play, and they are going to play. Okay. I must admit, if I just brought in Sterling, obviously he's a great asset to have, but I wouldn't be 100% convinced he's going to start this weekend.
No, even if he does, there's a sort of consensus that he's going to miss one of the next 3 games. I think Sterling. I can't see him playing Saturday midweek and then next weekend again. Now, whether that's enough for managers to avoid Sterling, because he could easily explode in the other 2 games that he does play. I think again the secret is to just have a strong bench during this period of the next couple of games. Yes, those comments from Guardiola sort of put the fear amongst us, but we were expecting anything else. I think we were all expecting some kind of rotation in those positions. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Guardiola does this weekend, because I think I wrote earlier in the week that when Mendy's been out this season, both Sané and Sterling have started every game in the league. So that's the 4 games Mendy's missed. Now I think that situation is going to change in the next week, but yeah, it's going to be a one to monitor this weekend. I think, as we were saying just off air before we came on camera, we're probably both not going to be moving for Man City midfielders this week. I think we're going to wait and see how this weekend pans out, and then
because we get, I think we're always looking for kind of vital evidence, and whichever of David Silva, Sané or Sterling doesn't start this weekend are probably favourites to start not only midweek but probably in the following game, which is against Chelsea, I believe. So that, to me, I like having information, and I'm gonna Sterling. If I see Sterling on the team sheet, I know he's going to get an absolute points haul. So whoever's got him in good on you. But at the same time, I cannot guarantee he'll play. But I like having that information midweek.
Yeah.
So I'm going to wait nervously and hope Aguero starts. Now, the person that's making way for all of these Man City midfielders is Hazard. He's been yellow flagged, struggling with a few injuries. We're not getting too much from Sarri about him. And in fact, 290,000 FPL managers have shown Hazard the door, and that's ahead of a home game against Fulham. So that people really have lost faith in him. But yeah, has Sarri been saying anything about Hazard?
Absolutely nothing in the last 24 hours anyway. And we did get a quote in midweek in which he said he thinks he's going to be okay, that he was going to miss the Europa League game on Thursday and just concentrate on training. So I would expect him to feature. We saw the Chelsea team last night. They made 10 changes. All of them were outfield, so only keeper kept his place. So yeah, he was talking also about whether, because Chelsea were beaten last weekend for the first time in the league, and he was saying that it was the system and the team rather than one or two players that were the problem. So I think you could see a very, very similar 11, if not the same team, line up again this weekend. But nothing definite about Hazard's fitness other than what we heard in midweek, which was fairly positive.
Okay. One other Chelsea player I'm looking at, it's not an injury issue, it's more a kind of a lineup issue. Hazard, on the Scoutcast, do urge people to look at that again this week. We looked in detail about Hazard's track record this season. He does great when Giroud plays. They have a great partnership. When Morata's on the team sheet, the attacking points just dry up for Hazard. Yeah. So yeah, what's Sarri been saying about who might start up front? Because Giroud was absolutely fantastic midweek in the in European competition, but Morata also got on the score sheet as well.
Yeah, Giroud was scored twice against Pauk last night. Now he was asked in a very brief press conference after the game whether Giroud's goals will stand him in good stead for the weekend. To which he replied, "No, I don't think so." Oh. So it sounds like Morata is going to return to the starting 11, which, as you say, is possibly bad news for Hazard. I think I looked at this myself in the big numbers piece last night. I know you covered it on the Scoutcast as well. But if you do compare, I think game weeks 5 to 8 when Giroud and Hazard are on the team, to game weeks 9 to 13 when Hazard's been playing with Morata, pretty much every stat is inferior.
Yeah.
I mean, penalty box touches have halved. His goal attempts are down 1 a match. Minutes per attempt is down like 5 minutes. So, yeah, I mean, also it should be said that as well as Morata being in the side, Hazard has been carrying injuries for the past month, so that might sort of temper his underlying stats as well. I also
noted he took corners as well. I don't know whether this is Morata or Giroud based, but for some reason, at the beginning of the season, he took corners, and they completely disappeared. I think he took 1 corner in the last 3 game weeks, which is it's negligible really. But for these top teams, set piece takers are great because if you've got players like Giroud, potentially Morata, to get on the end of things. But yeah, it's obviously not
Rudiger as well. He's got a lot of it.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not working out when Morata plays, and so I can see why people are ditching. Yeah. Definitely. Another team with a great fixture is Manchester United. They travel to Southampton. Southampton and Burnley are arguably the kind of key whipping boys at the moment. So very handy to have an attacker against them. What's been happening injury wise at Manchester United?
Yeah, this was a story developed last night. Sanchez has picked up a hamstring injury in training, and Mourinho gave his press conference this morning and confirmed he's going to be out probably for the rest of the year, so another 6 weeks we think. Sort of the indictment on how Sanchez has fallen as a fantasy asset, that was just sort of greeted with a collective shrug, I think, amongst the fantasy community. But it does have potential implications for Anthony Martial, who is a popular asset at the moment. Because you'd expect a bit of rotation over Christmas with Manchester United's fixtures, but Sanchez probably was the obvious candidate to step in for Martial when he was benched. Sanchez has started 4 league matches on the left wing this season, which is where Martial's playing now. So one fewer option in those front 3 positions is good for owners of Martial. Now, he does have other people who can play there. So Rashford's played on the left this season. Matt could stand in there as well. But yeah, I would say that's only positive news for Martial owners.
Yeah, no, that definitely is. I think, as you say, I mean, yes, I mean, obviously the likes of Rashford and Lukaku, everyone's going to get a run out. But Martial, he's the man in form. It's undeniable. Even Mourinho could say, even though he's had his problems with him in the past. Now, a team with a tougher fixture, but it could potentially be fruitful for fantasy managers. This is North London derby, and that's Spurs there. So, any update? There's a few Trippier owners still knocking around after his injury. Any hope there if he's going to have a start?
No, it doesn't look like it. He's undergoing the final stages of his rehab, Trippier, which suggests he's not going to be available. Now, he might be back in contention for Gameweek 15, which is when the fixtures get really good. But Aurier's come in the past couple of games, played in midweek, and I'm pretty confident he'll start again this Sunday. It's a bit of a shame for Trippier because he's been consistently returning at one end of the pitch or the other, and this weekend, as you say, Arsenal's conceded the most chances from the left flank than any other club this season. So that would have been great for Trippier, but it looks like he's going to be out, and but possibly back in contention for game week 15, in midweek.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a tough one for Trippier owners because I think a bench is going to be needed. Maybe one or two substitutes may be needed this weekend with rotation. So he's not a player you really want to hold if you know he's not going to play. But if he's back game week 15, he's definitely a player you want over the festive period because he, like everyone's, going to miss maybe one or two games. But Spurs fixtures, when you look at when you have a look at the season ticket on the Fantasy Football Scout site, and it's just a wonderful set of fixtures for Spurs. So what else has been happening in the press conferences? My man Goodmanson. Now, you were sort of right last week in to say that he should have stayed flagged because he was only expected to start, but then he got a cold or a bug. So you were kind of right. It was a different reason. Does he look like he's going to finally start this time?
Yeah, I was quite smug about that on when the team sheets came through, but then I quickly realised that it was a completely different ailment. Yeah, he's going to be back in contention this weekend, unless he picks up something else over the next 24 hours.
Stay safe. Stay safe.
He's as you say, just a 24-hour, 48-hour bug thing. So he's back. I'll whip through some more sort of mid-priced fitness news. We've got Jose Holebas back for Watford this weekend. He missed out last weekend with a calf injury.
Okay, now do you know what? That is interesting actually, because Holebas is one of these players that can get points at both ends of the pitch, and he's facing Leicester, and Leicester are leaky as hell. So yeah, okay, if you've got Holebas still knocking around your bench, could be a good week to play him.
Well, I think he's dropped in price as well. I think so. He's available for 4.7 now, so that's quite a he started at 4.5, but he got up to about 4.9, I think, at his peak. So that's quite a cut price deal for Holebas. Anyway, so Glenn Murray and Matt Ryan, they're both okay.
Oh, good.
They picked up knocks last weekend against Leicester, but nothing doing there. They're both recovered. We talked about Man United having a good fixture this weekend against Southampton, and they've got real problems at left back. Ryan Burton's got a back injury.
Ooh.
And Matt Targett, who would deputise for him as he did last weekend when Burton was suspended, was taken off with a head injury against Leicester in the Carabao Cup in midweek.
Wow, so who's the third choice? Is there one?
Well, they've got a youngster called Jan Valery who played in the Carabao Cup in midweek. He could play on either flank, I think. And Cedric's their other fullback. I'm not sure if he would switch over to the left. So
answered the call of the Valery, and he's what a test he's going to have. Okay, well, good luck, Valery. It's not going to be a good afternoon for him.
I completely forgot to mention this earlier on, actually. Mark Arnautovic, who many people would have been worried about, they will have noticed his flags come off now. So, yeah, we got an update from Pellegrini yesterday saying that he's worked the whole week without any problems, and he's got another day to recover, but he's okay and he's fit to play.
Lovely. That's good news. So yeah, I mean, to be honest, the way rotation going, if someone's vice captain's Arnautovic, they could end up getting him the captaincy points because he does sound like he's the most secure to start this week as well. Anything else at all? Anything knocking around? Arsenal, for example, they still riddled with injury in the defence.
Yeah, now this is one of those situations where, as with Chelsea, so with Arsenal and Chelsea are in action on Thursday nights in the Europa League, and generally speaking, you don't get a press conference the next day. You'll get one after the game, which is very, very brief. So we haven't had much in the way of team news from Arsenal yet. Now Lacazette missed out last weekend with a groin problem, but he's been back in training. Now everyone thought he would feature last weekend as well, and he didn't. So that's why the flag's still on him. Now Arsenal might issue an update on their website later on, like a medical bulletin. So we'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, Nacho Monreal's still out.
Yeah.
So they'll have the gung-ho but very suspect defensively Kolasinac.
Yeah, I mean the team sheet, as people expected in the Europa League, was very much Arsenal's B side.
Yeah.
So that's good news if you've got Aubameyang, I would think.
Yeah.
A full rest for him. Yeah, no, that's good. Now Liverpool as well. Now Klopp, also another team with a European fixture. So, but they have managed to get a press conference out. What's Klopp been saying? Because that was quite a bruising encounter they had midweek in the Champions League. But there didn't seem to be any particular serious injuries. But yeah, any update from Klopp?
Yeah, nothing that would worry you unduly. I think he did say that they got a lot of knocks. As you mentioned there, it was quite a bruising encounter. He said that the extra day is going to help as well. So they're in action on Sunday against Everton. He said a Wednesday, Saturday turnaround would have been hard, I think, for a couple of players. But would have been Wednesday, Sunday, and these are his exact words. We're going to have a nearly fully fit squad. So there might be a few minor doubts. I think Lallana still a minor worry. But yeah, I think his selections will be based on rotation rather than injury. So Shaqiri and Alexander-Arnold, who both missed out in midweek, you'd expect those two to feature. Whether that's in a 4-2-3-1 as he's played in the last two game weeks, or in a 4-3-3 remains to be seen. But those two players, if you've got those in your team, then you'd expect them to start this weekend.
I would expect as well against Everton for the derby, he would put out a strong side, and then maybe for the Burnley game midweek, then look to rotate some of the kind of key players. But I seem to remember Klopp in the past actually rotating for this fixture. But I think he probably learned to listen. They weren't too good that time. So hopefully, I think that sounds promising to me. I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that as glass half full. I think that sounds like we've covered everyone. Anything else just before we go? I don't want to miss
nothing
out.
that springs to mind, Joe. I think that's
just some
pretty much
peripherals.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll have a team news update on the site around about 5 o'clock this afternoon.
People look out for that. Excellent. Well, thanks so much for that. Good luck with the game week. Good luck with coping with rotation. Bye for now.
Yep. See you, Joe. Bye bye.